Everything wrong with Sonic Frontiers, The Final Horizon. 47.5 minutes. I skipped an ad, so don't worry about that. Now, I don't know everything that happened to this, so some of this will be a bit spoilery to me.
So, when this update was announced, I assumed that it would be a side story or additional scenario to complement the base game. As it turns out, what they call another story is technically an alternate climax to the events in the original Frontiers.
Yeah,
and
it's an alternate history in a
story
sense.
by way of a warp ring that spawns on Uranus Island in the base game, complete with a cinematic of Sonic preparing to and
so that's gonna be spoilers for me just because I got to the freaking boss rush thing and it's like, I'm stuck for a bit.
My question is, did he enter the warp ring out of habit? Was it
I just
not
assume that
when he entered a warp ring that spit him out on the same island he was just on? I understand why this had to be handled this way from a game standpoint, so that anyone in the middle of making their way to the final island wouldn't lose their progress with this update.
Yeah, you can't play this without finishing the base game.
The warp ring. Is this an alternate timeline?
Probably.
Months ago, your friends sacrificed their corporeal
When they
forms
sacrifice
to
themselves to
surpass
Sonic
your
so that he can come
corruption
back.
and return you to this dimensional plane.
They were so close to being free again, and they gave it all up for me. I don't care how many islands or titans it takes, I'm getting them back this time.
Please, no tedious speeches about the superpower of teamwork.
Hey, that's my line!
Of my millions of calculations, there was one so remote and unlikely I did not consider it.
I do like some of the interactions in this.
As things stand, it could be the one to save us all.
I thought that Sonic Survival was the 1 in a million.
Yeah.
Hold on, another story starts off right after we finish Rhea Island, where Amy, Knuckles, and
Yeah, this
Tails
is what they were
beat
talking
themselves
about, how
up
they
to cure
sacrificed
Sonic's cyber
themselves.
corruption. Everyone was there on top of the final tower when Sonic got corrupted. Why didn't you bring up the fact that you had a plan to Sonic back
Because
then?
this is an alternate timeline.
I can reverse your friends' efforts and restore them. They would then seek out the Chaos Emeralds for us. I can stabilize your cyber corruption for a brief time, and then I would guide you on how to convert that corruption into power so that you may end this conflict and save Father.
Wait, so you can stave off the
I got
cyber
you
corruption for a
smirking at
little
the
bit
freaking
and
father.
restore the sacrifice
That's how I
Sonic's friends just made?
interpret it.
Not only does that make that earlier scene on the tower virtually meaningless, but if you could do that and you knew that Sonic and his friends were the only remote chance you had at defeating whatever's escaping from cyberspace, why didn't you just do it then? Why did you wait for us to be on this island to even bring it up?
Let's do it to it.
Be forewarned, the trials you face will be grueling, and we will have precious little time.
That's just a
That last
Tuesday
part
for
is a
Sonic.
lie. There is no time limit, and another story is in fact quite beefy when it comes
I'll
to
say,
content.
it makes up
You
for
could
all the other
probably finish Sonic
DLC
Forces
being
5 whole
kinda...
times before doing everything there is to do in
It's
this
fine.
update.
It's
I thought
fine.
this Sage is wrong. We have precious lots of time.
Because they were focusing on working on this stuff.
I live for time trials. Let's go already.
Boo! Get off the stage!
His life is a
Playing through this
time
update,
trial.
I came to realize that Frontiers is probably the first Sonic game that really embraces the jank and is made all the more fun for it.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like the
there are
original Sonic
definitely
Adventure
moments
games.
where it can really screw you over, and there are still some automated sections here and there, particularly in the cyberspace.
Yeah,
stages.
word of advice for
You're
those who
very
haven't played
free
the
to do
DLC
whatever
but are
you
watching
want
this
whenever you want
for
to
some
do it.
godforsaken
That
forsaken
being said,
reason.
when it comes to Sonic himself, his challenges
Just
are
go
designed around
when
his
you
movement,
start
so
as
it's not
Amy,
easy
just
to
go
choose your
straight
way
to
through
the
certain parts
first
of the
two
game.
objectives,
Amy,
and
Knuckles,
then
and
go
Tails,
around
however, are a
exploring.
completely
That'll make it
different
easier
story,
for you
because even though
to
their challenges are specifically
move
designed
around a
with
bit
unique
more
movesets in
freely and
mind,
stuff,
all
'cause you
three
get
of them also
access
have
to
abilities that allow
experience
them to
them.
bypass half, if not most, of the challenges set for them. Amy, for
Not gonna be
example, has
easy,
what I
but
like
it'll
to
be
call
easier.
gigantic ups, because not only does she
I call it
naturally
the
have
triple
a triple
jump.
that allows her to gently glide,
Like
but
she-
one
she-
of her
they brought back
skill
the
tree
triple
abilities
jump
is
from
the
Sonic
high card
Boom,
jump, which is a
Rise of
bounce
Lyric.
that you can then triple jump out of, turning them into ginormous ups. Do I think using these characters as broken movesets make the game ultimately more fun to play? Absolutely I do. But it would be remiss of me to not acknowledge that it is a design flaw that does make their challenges a bit superfluous. Letting players beat a platforming challenge however they
Yeah,
want, despite there being a limited way,
when I got
awesome. It
Tails'
can show how well
freaking
something
mech
is
thing that
designed.
can fly,
Letting them
I
ignore
didn't
the
need
challenge
to.
altogether?
There were no more challenges.
Yeah,
I
you
just
probably
flew everywhere,
didn't
holding
think
down the
that one
R2 trigger and launching into
yes, my
space like a
favorite
fucking
Amy move, the
spaceship.
card spin boost, where her fortune cards spin around her in a circle while she rides her Pico Pico hammer like a broomstick.
That's adorable.
Truly a classic.
Oh, come on, that's cool.
I can get some insight with my fortune cards. Huh. Ugh. Ooh. cards are telling me is that things are obscured and danger approaches. I knew that already. Wait. Seek insight from unfamiliar
Where'd that come
places?
from? There's not even like a card
That
left.
what one of the cards said?
Yeah.
You didn't read it out loud when you saw it, so I can only assume that's what it was.
Yeah, I was.
Otherwise, you're just saying
There are
random
parts of this
convenient
strip that confused me.
Forget the vaults. I'll find him the old-fashioned way.
Okay, you go on ahead and do it, Knuckles, but every time they are lost on these islands, they end up in vaults, so I don't know where you expect to find them.
Start sticking like
So
in a safe
this
too.
update and even the base game have a weird trend of repeating the same thing over and over again, and with the final horizon, it starts with the Elder and Hermit Koco. Amy is meant to seek them both out and ask what happened to the Chaos Emeralds, and they both
But they
essentially give the
don't
same
answer
They were hidden
Amy's
from the big bad by
question.
using the
She
ancient
asks them,
technology.
where are they? They
I'm
say,
guessing
we
that
moved them.
in-game
Thank
they're
you so
actually
much.
telling Amy
That
where
doesn't
they are
help me
exactly,
at
but
all.
To us, it just seems like Amy gets told
Where
the same
did
thing
you
by two
move
different
them?
people,
At least
leaves without having
point.
learned anything, and thanks them for their insight, even though all they said was that they're hidden, which is not a great answer to the question, where are they?
It isn't an answer
If I
to
had
where
Knuckles
are
every
they.
time there was a Sonic game where you could also play as Amy, Knuckles, and Tails, where the gameplay style is combat-oriented and a female AI helps us learn about a civilization.
Yeah,
over
but at least this
ancients where
game is
Knuckles has an
finished.
infinite jump exploit, I would have 2 nickels.
Yeah.
Which isn't a lot, but oh my god, you cannot make
I
this stuff.
know,
I was
right?
going around the island collecting a bunch of skill point Koco so I could unlock all the abilities in each character's skill tree so I could activate as many map Koco as I could to complete the map quickly. That often involved going into my map and marking.
Yeah,
a
I
skill
didn't
point
figure
Koco for me
this
to
part
go
out
to,
where
especially
that
if it
where
was
the
close
frickin'
by.
markers
And I
are
came
for a
across
while.
these sets of pillars that you're meant to climb as Knuckles and use your Psi Knuckles skill to reveal more pillars. I thought that maybe completing the challenge would reward me the skill point Koco, but I activated all the Psi Knuckle markers and nothing happened. I'd glide away, the puzzle would reset, I'd do it again, and nothing. Maybe I was missing a step or doing something wrong, but I never found the skill point Koco around here, and I literally have no other idea as to what I would have needed to do here.
I don't know either. You got me, bro. I didn't find them all. I can't remember everything.
Didn't expect to find you standing around wasting time. I was starting to get worried you wouldn't be able to find the emeralds.
Then why don't you help
You are
me?
wasting time if you're worrying about me.
You want to talk about wasting time? That was somehow the most uneventful conversation in this entire game.
We're just saying
I
something.
think I could have been more helpful to Sonic if I had my normal body back.
Probably.
For sure. In this digitized state, there's a limit to how much we can affect the real world.
Is there? Because you guys seem to
Yeah,
be
you guys
interacting
are
with the
basically
world pretty
interacting with it.
normally. You've even been able to keep all your weapons.
When I scan the skies,
Heck, you get more weapons because Tails got his mech suit back from SA2. As I said,
That would be a satellite placed in space by the ancients.
they put a satellite in. Why is everyone putting satellites in space and we never see any of them? Are they next to the Ark?
We've been to space many times.
And the
throughout
space
history of this
and the
series,
Sonic
and I
Satellite
don't think
7
we've seen
from the
any of these
arcade
satellites
games?
before. Do other people around the world know they
Also,
exist?
remember, everything is
They know why
canon,
they're up
especially
there?
this. Even this
How far
alternative
into
timeline.
space are they? So many questions. Remember how I mentioned earlier that each character
The
had
spin
an
dash
ability
is
that allowed
freaking
them to bypass
ridiculous.
half,
It's
if not
faster
most
than the
of their
boost
respective
IMO.
challenges? For Amy, it was the ginormous
Which I'm glad they
ups, and
fixed
for
the problem
Knuckles,
of the
it was
boost
move from
being
Lysa Lyric.
basically
For Tails, he has a
nerfed
mech
to
that we
Kingdom
haven't seen
Come.
since Shadow the
I would
Hedgehog,
prefer the
the
boost to
Cyclone,
be
and
fixed,
it is
but you know, I'll make it
fucking
easier.
Busted.
Yeah.
There are a couple of challenges on the island that require the use of it, or that keep in mind that you might have it, but most of them don't, meaning you can just ignore the challenge altogether.
That's what I did.
Amy's cheese still
Fly,
requires
baby,
careful and calculated
fly.
movement and jumping. Knuckles' cheese is admittedly slow and requires a string of inputs to perform, but with Tails, you
Boost.
just press the boost button. Now,
Tails is
granted,
my
you do
far
need to
my
have your
favorite
count
way
maxed
to
out,
get.
and Cyclone's
I
only
maxed out
5,000
Tails
boost
before
meter
anyone
allows,
else,
so it does have its
except Sonic,
limitations.
obviously. But you know, of the new
Which are
characters.
immediately circumvented by the fact that you can get an infinite number of rings by Psi looping in a circle ad nauseum, and can create an infinite boost meter by Psi looping an infinity symbol, meaning you can literally fly to anywhere you want on the goddamn island whenever you want to.
There's so much happening on this island. It's beyond my comprehension. It all seems like magic to me.
Here's a word of advice. A scientist shouldn't explain things using the word magic.
What word would you use?
So there are many things that can't be explained with our current knowledge. The ancients were a technologically advanced civilization. Everything we've seen is nothing more than phenomena that were common at the time.
Probably.
I assure you, there is no such thing as magic on this island.
Bro, You live in a world
Yeah,
where
right.
rainbow-colored space rocks can turn a blue hedgehog that runs at super speeds yellow and make him invincible.
Eggman's right in the case of like
grandfather
technology
created
from a
using
certain point of view
alien blood
become
slow down
magic
time
because
or
we bring this
teleport,
back to
and
the
when they
Stone
combine their
Age and be
powers,
seen
they
as
can
magic,
literally
but you know.
travel through time. And you don't believe there's such a thing as magic?
I
That
just
is
summoned a
somehow
mech
one of
suit
the
from
most
thin air.
unreasonable things I think you've ever said.
Tails.
Magic definitely exists in this universe.
Well, I know I can't.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, you can. You've done it many times before. You don't just call you tails because you use them to fly. You've literally used one of them as a hand before. Are you telling me you can't roll them bitches up into fists?
You must
Yeah,
really
you kick
quite
ass,
anxious,
Tails.
Separated from your hero, Sonic.
Eggman, have you forgotten about what happened at Station Square?
No, because it's the only thing about your history that they bring up.
There are things only
Well, actually, no, they did bring up the Deadly Six in the base game.
We will see what you're capable of without him.
Let's see. Canonically, he beat your egg walker
Yeah.
Square, built a plane that can transform into a mech that blasted your ass on Prison Island, pretty much made a Chaos Emerald dude
Yeah,
unrecognizable
a
from the real
fake
thing,
Chaos
built a
Emerald.
spaceship, and oh yeah, did I mention the thing where his tails can basically function as hands? Of all the things for Tails to use as part of his arsenal, why does he parry with
I
a spring?
never thought to
Also,
do
I think
that,
I found who put all those springs
because
in the middle of the
I
damn
got the
forest.
parries last.
You need to ascend the 4 towers
Because
of the
I
Masters.
didn't
They are
care.
memorials to the pilots who
I
gave
just
their
wouldn't get into
lives to save
fights.
the world.
Pilots. They were who I saw in those visions, right?
Yeah, the ones driving the mechs.
Yes, the very titans you destroyed.
You're welcome, by the way.
Hey, I asked you to explain things from the beginning, remember?
Yeah.
That is
Seriously, the
exactly
entire
sure.
yeah, the
Now that we're
entire
on the verge
base
of
frontiers would have been fixed if Sage answered a fucking question.
Irrelevant that you didn't tell us why you were so intent on using the giant alien Gundams against us, but you'll sure as shit give me sass about thrashing them.
It seems
I like Ian as much as the next guy is the writer of Sonic, but God, there are some things that he has that he just has problems with.
But there's no time to waste. You must hurry to the tower.
Wherever the frickin' base Sonic comic writers thing is,
Wow,
whoever they made
what
the
a
thing.
riveting
I forgot the name, but
conversation.
still.
I'm so glad that time and resources went into making that optional conversation possible. Especially considering that, you know, we already had all this information because it's part of the main storyline.
I never imagined I would have to join forces with you.
Dude, we do it every other game.
Eggman, you've done it multiple times before. Sage even recounted some of those
This
times
isn't
to
a
you.
reboot.
M119 is such bullshit. I don't normally think these shoot the ball through the hoops challenges are difficult, but this one is so dumb because the platform where the ball spawns is on such uneven terrain
that's
that one half
baloney.
set of hoops requires one strategy, the other half requires another, and there's one row of hoops that is angled so awkwardly, I still don't exactly know how you're meant to approach it, but I did it somehow.
Somehow, lucky.
Seems the tower only reacts to Sonic.
Well, I am Sonic, so I'm fine.
I'm the only one who can act.
Probably because you're doing the super
Alright,
form.
I'll take care of the towers. Let's do this.
And no, you don't count Knuckles and Tails. Those are hyper forms. They're different.
Okay, I swear to God, man. None of that information was new to us. We already knew that only Sonic can access the trial towers. We already know that everyone has a specific job they have to do. But you know what we don't know? Why Sonic is the key. Why is it specifically that Sonic has a link with cyberspace? Why is he able to come and go as he pleases? What makes him specifically capable of activating the trial
Maybe because
towers?
he met
I
with
get
Light
it, he's a
Gaia?
main
I don't
character,
know.
But for a game where you tried to create a bunch of lore and most of Eggman and Sage's optional conversations involve explaining it, you can't even bother to explain why Sonic's so special.
Yeah,
He's just built different.
You spent 6 hours saying things we already know, but you can't give us something new?
Periphery of Ares Island? The roads and tunnels have broken down over the years, but they were basically highways. Moreover, the highways were full of energy, brimming from underground. The vehicles could replenish energy just by going through tunnels or passing over dash panels.
Wait, so dash panels have existed for tens of thousands of years?
Huh.
I guess that would technically explain why they're all around the world.
True.
Did the ancients build them? Did they build all the weird naturally
Yeah,
occurring stuff in
naturally
this
occurring
world, like
dash
the
pads.
rings? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, I guess, but that means that their influence on this world far extended beyond the confines of the Starfall
Right.
Islands. How have we literally never heard about the ancients before?
Well, you have now, and
I was
the
trying to
watch
S
to be
Portal
forgetting.
4B when this happened.
What the hell? Thank God this game was finished. The hell? He's outside the loop. Which is kind of
I don't want to
cool.
repeat this loop, but I sure as shit ran underneath it somehow. So another story raises the game's difficulty not only by way of its puzzles and trials, but through its guardians as well. Every guardian on Uranus Island is an enhanced version of the one in the base game. And
Yeah, they're
they
literally
are
the base
beefy,
characters,
especially the
base
caterpillar.
villains
Even
plus.
when it was side-looped, it didn't seem to take more damage, and when all it gives you is a single portal gear, which you can find more easily by just exploring
I didn't even
the
bother
island,
fighting
what
them.
the hell incentive do I have to fight your bosses? Portal 4G has a pretty cool gimmick where if you go too fast for too long, you'll get sniped by Cybergun no
Ooh.
matter where you are. I think it's pretty cool in retrospect, and only because I eventually understood what was happening. It was a lot less cool when you didn't teach me about this new gimmick and your only hint was a giant speedometer.
Yeah,
on screen.
I
And the
like
thing
some of
is,
the
if you
gimmicks
boost
of
during the
these
stage,
new
your
stages.
speed
They add a
increases
bit more
incrementally, like shifting gears on a car.
variety in
But
the
by
stages,
time
but
people
some of
play
them are
this, they'll
so
most likely
fucking
have the spin dash,
annoying.
which is faster and particularly useful when it comes to a lot of the ramps you can find in cyberspace. The spin dash
The
doesn't
not
increase its speed
honeycomb
over time in the stage
highway
like the
thing
boost
took
does,
me
though. You
more
go from
times than I'd
low
like
to
to
top
admit,
immediately,
mostly because I
so
lost count after a while.
mega confused when it seemed like I was getting hit by literally nothing, and why there was a giant speedometer on
And you could
screen.
say skill
Why would
issue,
making
fair
the
enough,
thing
but
that
still.
measures how fast I'm going bigger make me think that I need to go slow so that I don't take damage. The first time it happens, anybody would get confused
You
because
see a
there's
speedometer,
no
you think,
correlation between the two
if I
concepts.
saw this, I'd be
That
thinking
being
they were,
said, I
we were
do
ripping
love
off
the new
the movie
challenges that the portals
Speed.
and other story
You
adds,
know,
such as
gotta
collecting
make sure you're
lunar
going
medals in a certain
fast or a
time frame,
bomb blows
finding
up or
alternate
something.
exits, collecting numbered rings,
Don't
and
stop
saving a
moving.
certain number of critters. I think that it adds much needed replay value to cyberspace. But I do have a bit of an issue with the thing about saving the animals. When Sonic picks up a critter, he no longer jumps in a ball because that
He
would be
can't
rude,
double
obviously,
jump anymore.
making his jump height a lot shorter and getting rid of his second jump altogether. Your objective is to drop the animals off at a nearby designated area, which involves doing some precise platforming, the failure of which typically results in a death and having to restart the entire stage.
Yeah, and there's no
that's
checkpoints
what I
in
take
these.
issue with. I'm all for a little challenge, but the rest of the stage expects me to utilize the abilities and
That,
physics
and there's
I
no
have during
checkpoints
the
in climbing
entirety of the
towers
game,
either,
and more
because
often
F
than
me.
not, I can recover from mistakes, but the animal objectives not only change how I'm used to controlling the character, but it then punishes my failure over something I have little experience with by
nice
making me have to
skip.
start all over again. I honestly don't know why there are egg springs on this part of the tower. You're most likely already taking this part slow in order to not
Just to
fall off
kick
the
you when you're
scarily
down?
tilted platforms. How and why would anybody bump into them? If you thought people were going to boost through this section,
You're
out of your
goddamn,
mind.
yeah, you're out of your
Tower 2 was
mind.
definitely the one I found most challenging, even on a second
Right.
playthrough, but part of that difficulty came in the form of homing
Just
attack
do
targets
what
which
every-
were meant to allow you to cross
Here's
certain
what I
sections,
did,
not
and it's what basically
respawning
everyone
once
else
they've been
did.
destroyed.
Switch the
Most
game to
things like
easy
the
mode for
balloons
the
will
tower
respawn after a
climbs.
few
And if you
seconds,
feel like,
but the
okay, I'm
default
not
are probably
doing that,
meant to stay
just
destroyed so
switch
that
it
other
easy
challenges
mode
around
so
the
you can
island
get
that
back
use
to
them
where
don't
you
get annoying
died,
because
and
you're
then
usually in the
switch
way of
back to
something
whatever
you wanna have
difficulty you
constant
were on
access to.
before.
The only way
Because the
they'll
game
respond
isn't
is
giving
if
you a
reload your save
checkpoint,
file,
so
and
basically make your
probably
own
if you
checkpoint
run
at
away
that
and come
point.
back, but reloading a save is honestly just
Because
faster.
reclimbing
And
this
you
every
might think that it's
fucking
intentionally
time
designed that way
makes
so
me
that there's
want
more
to
pressure on the player to perform well in a single attempt, not to mention the fact that
be
you can
mad.
still clear these sections without the pink walls because they're attached to regular ones that you can walk on the
Yeah,
edge
but
of
you
if you're
gotta,
careful enough.
yeah, but you're not careful
that's
enough all the
not
time. What the
exactly
fuck?
an intuitive thing to do. Even if there were balloons there
Like,
instead
why
of pink
don't-
walls,
yeah, why don't
this
the
would
walls
still be pretty
respawn?
challenging. Why not do that instead of punishing the player for failing at a later part of the tower with a different challenge on a part
Nice.
of the tower they've already completed?
Huh. Guess there's a surprise fourth Titan after all.
Tuh.
In the vision I saw, you lost to the enemy when you sealed it in your Titan. How are you here?
Fuck you!
Pretty fucking important in case this
Yeah,
something
literally, when I
happens
got
us.
to this, my reaction was essentially, oh, you couldn't explain it, of course.
Suddenly Sonic Heroes.
You
Yeah.
better not be up to no good just because Sonic's busy.
When is he ever up to good?
I, the greatest scientific genius, up to no good.
Tails is equal in
Don't
IQ.
mistake me for some small-time thug who commits crimes on a mere whim.
Says
You
the man
are
who
exactly
constantly commits
that!
crimes the second he thinks it's safe to do so.
Why the Koco? Actually, that element may change the result of my calculations.
Calculations? You mean the Koco may be able to help?
Amy, this was your suggestion. You suggested we get the Cocos for help.
And their souls. If they hold data that hasn't been uploaded to cyberspace yet,
I'm talking about in base game too.
Maybe that could be the key. Wow!
Wow. I mean, duh. didn't we already know this? And even if we didn't, how is that not easily deduced?
Hurry up, or I'll find the emeralds before you.
Wait, Knuckles.
I like the DLC. I do.
Tips on finding
But I have
emeralds?
problems with it.
Tips? Just dig everywhere until you find them. That's all there is to it.
I have a hammer, not a shovel. That wasn't very helpful.
I kinda like that.
Looks
I
like
don't
I'll
know
need to
why.
find them my own way.
Oh my god, these conversations are killing me, dude.
Yeah.
I usually love the ones with
Maybe I
Sage.
laughed at
typically
a
don't
sheer
mind the
cringe or
ones with
something.
Eggman, but the ones with the team talking to each other, you can't even call it fan service. It's just a straight up disservice. They never say anything interesting or helpful or meaningful
Or even
new
funny
to
or
each
anything
other.
like
While I
that.
was exploring Kronos Island with Sonic,
Even though I just said a lot to that. Maybe a lot because of how cringe it was. I don't know.
on the trunks of the trees at night. What was up with that?
You must be talking about the Phantom Light.
Phantom lights.
Cyberspace is always filled with a vast amount of data, but sometimes it overflows through the portals. That data is the faint thoughts of the ancients, appearing in the real world as light.
So
My thoughts
they're
are light.
thoughts without shape, like the Koco. Why do they only appear at night?
They're scared of the
They're
dark.
usually in hiding. for
Wait, that doesn't
fear
make
of
any
the being
sense.
that destroyed them. And when the moon rises, they feel safe enough to come out. Poor little things. They've already lost their bodies, yet they're still afraid of being destroyed.
That's
Well,
sad.
yeah. I mean, just because their bodies aren't here doesn't mean their consciousnesses
True.
aren't. If an Ender of Worlds failed to fully destroy my people and me, and we were aware that it could possibly come back to finish the job, I'd be terrified too.
Fair.
You believed in a god even with all of this amazing technology? I didn't expect that.
Why not?
Faith is an excellent way to shape a group's sense of kinship.
They're also not mutually exclusive. You can believe in a higher power and still have a smartphone.
Right?
With no one to return the creatures, the
You
island
could say I
is
believe in God and still have electricity in your house. They're not mutually exclusive,
There's also a seagull that flies over the islands every so often.
right?
See, like, cool little things like that make the world feel more alive.
What was that? What the hell? Exploit.
I don't think I was supposed to be able to
Probably
do that.
not.
You know what?
I'll take it.
That was pretty cool.
It was. A little.
What do you need me to do?
I think our opponent has repurposed the constructs to bolster the distortion's defensive measures. In other words, keep smashing things. And I can
I was gonna
start
do that
accessing
anyway.
Cyberspace again.
I like the direct approach. You can count on me.
See, before, conversations like that were relegated to optional dialogue. But here, it's a part of the main story, and what I don't understand is why this conversation happens here. This is the second round we're doing with these characters,
Yeah.
and their objectives are virtually the same. Amy visits the Elder and Hermit Koco, Knuckles destroys impact forms, and Tails hacks the Koco devices. Knuckles asked what Tails needed help with, and instead of explaining what's going on, Tails should have just said that they needed to do everything they just did again.
Just do it again.
Nothing
Keep
has
up the good
changed.
work.
I find it weird that we're having this conversation now and not when we started playing as these characters the first time.
You just focus
Maybe there
on
was a
finding the
problem
emeralds
running in the
with
wrong
Tails.
place or something? Or maybe they thought people would stop it the first time and would, take a break and need a refresh?
What the heck is going on?
Yeah, I agree. Why are the trees all pixelated?
Yeah.
At least I'm
We're
assuming that's
Minecraft?
what Knuckles is reacting to, because that's all I see.
There's so much we still don't know about this cyber corruption. Why do your punches work when my hammer doesn't?
Well, first of all, it's
Sexist?
probably
I don't
because
know.
his fists are attached to his body and your hammer isn't. But second, what are you talking about? You literally have a skill called Psy Hammer where you use your hammer to do a quick Psy loop and you ride it like a broomstick during your cart spin boost. Sure, you don't use it with its intended purpose, but it's not like your hammer doesn't work.
Right?
When I get back from this island, I'll use the ancient technology I've obtained here to get the Master Emerald.
Yo, what?
What did you just say about the Master Emerald?
Nothing. I wasn't thinking about taking it at all.
You weren't thinking at all, you were talking.
Because I won't let you lay a finger on the Master Emerald. It's my duty to protect it as the last you kidnapped.
Well, you're doing.
why
a
are you-
bang
yeah,
up
yeah,
job
why
right
are you
now,
here?
but with it being up there on
Well, then
Angel
again,
Island all alone.
I think
Granted,
the
that's
trailer
not
did
entirely
show
your
it.
fault, but up until recently, you've been leaving Angel Island a lot to just hang out with your friends.
I just have the
And
head
God
canon
forbid
that he
you
bought
can't
a
have
guard
hobby.
dog or something off screen, like a robot or whatever.
Sonic handled 4 islands of this mess. I'm not going down to just one.
Sorry,
Fair,
sorry,
Uranus
Knuckles.
is a big-ass island, dude.
The plot said
We're
yes,
also
you are.
feeling the effects of the cyber corruption all at once, whereas Sonic felt it more and more after each island.
Hope you're hanging in there, Tails.
I'm okay, but the enemy might be recharging their energy. We need to hurry.
Yeah, let's get going, buddy.
Okay, and stop worrying about me and start believing in me.
He can do both, Tails.
Right?
You know, the way he always does. Just because he worries about you doesn't mean he doesn't believe in you. Hell, your guys' whole plotline in this game was about how much he believes in you. So, another story's optional conversations utilize camera angles or camera distance to obscure the fact that the character's lips aren't moving.
Which are
and
fine.
for the most
That's
part,
fine.
Go unnoticed. But every now and then you'll get a conversation
Yeah.
like this, where we
You
can
can't
see
ignore
Tails'
it.
face in all its glory, not animate a damn bit even though he's talking.
As you accumulate points with the pinball, the energy ball gets charged up.
Wait, there's another pinball thing?
I figured the device was something like that. Since the volcano erupted after I
Oh,
cleared
they're
the thing.
talking about the other one.
Why was it designed with a pinball?
Everybody loves pinball.
That's not exactly clear, but maybe it was just a playful idea on the part of whoever developed it. Engineers tend to be like that.
So, right. So the entire reason it
Normally,
was
I would
made
bore you
is
with this
based
whole
on the premise
conversation for
of,
the
you
sake
know
of
what would be
context that others
funny?
may not remember, or those who may not even be aware of the context in the first place. But this whole conversation boils down to, why did the thing happen? Because
That's
it
a
has
lot of the
stuff,
cutscenes
followed
in
by
this.
a bunch of things we didn't ask, which is then answered with, oh, that's why the thing happened, and why it had the stuff.
These aren't going over old stuff. I'm Sonic.
See this through.
What the hell?
This was easy. Almost too easy.
Was it? Because you guys are suffering from cyber corruption right now, which not only seems pretty painful, but you also had some trouble figuring out what the Chaos Emeralds were at all.
What's Big doing here?
You put everything
Not
into
that there's anything
boost?
wrong with
Okay.
just going fishing.
Fishing? If you are talking about the purple portals, those are not real locations.
Yeah, Big isn't actually
They're
here.
a type of cyberspace recreated from your memories.
I saw this
Isn't
one.
that- Isn't that what cyberspace is, though?
Yeah, our memories.
Take the cat that you
Which
saw
makes you question, what the, for these new cyberspace levels, what the frick is Sonic remembering? Because I don't remember any of these happening
were able
before.
to converse with the illusion and believe
What was it?
was
Is it all based off of Game Gear games or something?
half of him. Normally,
Canceled levels that he would know about, but we wouldn't because he would have access because he's the
at such a
character?
level that even you would be
Uh-huh.
able to pick up on it.
Well, it was just big, so it didn't feel dangerous. But it's good.
Clearly, you have not seen his belly flop in Sonic Heroes.
Safe in the jungle somewhere.
Well, that's a relief, but also, I don't buy that explanation for a goddamn second, because Sage is saying that Sonic, much like we all do, has such a vivid memory of Big the Cat that his subconscious must have made him materialize in the purple portals. But if the purple portals don't lead to actual locations, couldn't they lead Sonic literally anywhere?
he just
Why do
Sonic's
they
like,
keep
I
taking
want to
him to
go
the same
fishing
place
with
in
Big.
cyberspace? Are you telling me that Sonic has a more vivid memory of Big, a character he's only ever met directly literally like 3 times than any other Sonic character? He doesn't have a more
Where's
vivid
Jet?
memory of Shadow, the guy he saved the world with? Because mind you, Sage never said
Wouldn't it
had
be
anything to
amazing
do
if
with
they- it was like
comfort
Jet or
freeing
something,
Sage.
they
She
brought
said
him
it was
back
because of how
here?
Vivid Sonic's
Like, I
memory
know why
was.
they went Sonic for with.
I guess
I know
I
why they
don't
went
blame
with
him
Big.
for
I mean,
truly
you know,
Big
for
the
the
Cat
memes,
leaves an
but still.
indelible imprint on us all.
I'm gonna hop on that grind rail over there. Here to join me?
She can't.
So that is how they appear to you.
What?
How they appear? What? Don't you see them too?
The current iteration of cyberspace was formed based on your memories. Since linking with it, your memories are now affecting things even outside of
So what?
cyberspace.
You don't see grind rails?
As a result of the link, many of the things you see around you are recreations from your memory. It is a testament to how deeply you are linked with cyberspace.
So do you see grind rails or not? And do you want to ride on them with me?
And my sensors are not picking up anything. To my eyes, there is nothing there.
Does that mean
I'm-
you don't see the ancient structures either? That cannot
Does that
be
wait?
possible.
Does this mean when I'm
Are
doing
you
this
telling me
now,
that
am I
right now
flying
Sonic
to
is
you?
just walking on air to you?
Yeah.
Are you telling me
Ow.
that Sonic just got hit by nothing? That doesn't make any sense. Also, if the grind rails and springs and all that aren't actually there and are selective physical manifestations of cyberspace based on Sonic's memory, why do they appear the way they do? Their design is unique to this game, but wouldn't they appear the way Sonic
You get more
remembers
boost
them?
for Sonic?
Are you seriously trying to tell me that Sonic has a more vivid and accurate memory of Big the fucking Cat than he does of the grind rails, dash rings, and springs that he interacts with probably on a daily basis?
Hey, Eggman, you found the emerald yet?
You can't rush genius.
I'm not. I'm rushing you.
Besides, you haven't even finished that tower. What are you waiting for?
Huh. You can't rush Sonic the Hedgehog.
There are literally
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Also, how the hell are you gonna
Hurry
write that dialogue
up!
knowing damn well there is a video game known simply as Sonic the Hedgehog that is one of the most infamously rushed games in history? Not only can you rush Sonic the Hedgehog, they did rush Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, nice. I like how this guy is constantly in shadows, though. That was pretty cool. Fuck this guy's puzzle, though, in hard mode. Although my friend Ace of Games actually managed to beat it on his second try, and he has no idea how he did, other than he was in the zone. Also, I like that one for Sonic. Now you're a rock in a chair. I don't know if going into
Sonic,
easy
you're being
mode
a
make it easier,
gigantic
like maybe you'll
asshole
get
to
all
someone
your
who's
rings
helped you
instead of
really
400,
need in
but
order to save
whatever.
the world right now, and
Or they'll just die
normally they
quicker.
deserve it, but this just feels a little uncalled for.
Imagine just gonna bitch about the challenge itself.
Okay, so this is the second time that I played through another story up until Master King Koco's trial, and both times the loading screen for the trial would get stuck and soft lock, meaning I had to restart my game. And unfortunately, this is after a pretty hefty tower challenge that makes it really easy to overlook and forget to save before talking to the Master King Koco, meaning you'll have to climb the tower all over again unless
I
you
am
go out
so
of your way to step
sorry,
on the
dude.
switch
These
and activate
towers
the
are
pulley next to
annoying
you
as hell.
first. And speaking of the Master King Koco trial, something I hadn't mentioned because it wasn't relevant up until now is that the previous trials are meant to prepare you for this one, and I hadn't noticed that until playing through them a second time. Master King Koco's trial is essentially a boss rush where you have to face all three of the titans that you fought up until this point, with the rules explicitly stating that the perfect parry is the only way to parry attacks. The reason that I say that the previous trials are all meant to prepare you for this is because all 4 trials involve fighting enemies that are either easier to defeat when parrying or downright require you to parry in order to defeat
I just
them.
brute forced
Dragon's
them.
trial has you facing a squad of Uranus Island soldiers, which are pretty defensive, hitting you with spikes and protecting themselves from your homing attacks.
I never
And
thought
while
to
you
parry, I
technically
just,
don't
you
need
know,
to parry
brute
them
force.
to defeat them, their health depletes much faster if you do and follow up with a Grand Slam rather than trying to attack them directly. Snake's trial has you fighting 4 shells, which again you don't
Yeah, this
need
one was
to
a
parry to
pain,
defeat
but
them,
I
because
was
your stats
able
are
to
fixed
out of
level
sheer
1,
pure
attacking it after using the
brute
side loop would
force.
take too long given the time limit.
Nice.
Instead, you're
I
meant to
didn't know
make
you could
each
do
one
that.
shoot its shell out as far as they can, and then attack them, parrying the shells right before they come back, and repeat until you defeat each one. Tiger's trial has you fighting, ironically
This was the
enough,
easiest
a pack
one to
of
me.
wolves, whom, as far as I know, you need
First
to parry in
try.
order to even attack them. And finally, Crane's trial, much like that before,
I
has you
legit
face a
thought when I
ninja, which
saw
normally
this,
you wouldn't need to parry to
it's
defeat,
that there was
but
going to be
this
like
one is so
a rush
fast,
of it, because this
parrying
one was
is
the
safest way
freaking
to fight
easiest.
back.
Beat one
And while I think
boss.
it's a cool way to foreshadow this last trial, the reason it doesn't exactly work is because during normal play, you can prepare your parry for
Like, I
pretty
thought it would
much
be
as
like,
long
okay,
as
I
you
beat the
want.
regular
One of
ninja,
tips
then
in
it's
this
gonna be
game
the
even
master
says that
ninja, and then
parrying
master
isn't
ninja
dependent
plus.
on
Nope,
timing,
just one.
just on holding the buttons, but perfect parrying is dependent on timing, and nowhere else in the game introduces this new mechanic to prepare us for this trial.
And
the
boy,
reason
is it
that's
a
problem is
problem.
because you need to fight Giganto, the Wyvern, and the Knight on what's essentially a time limit.
Oh, they don't fight
Because
Supreme?
You fight the Titans
Thank God.
of Supersonic, your rings slowly deplete over time, which has been the case for as long as Supersonic's been a thing, but here, not only do you have to fight them all on level 1, meaning the max number of rings you can have is 400, not only do you have to do the pre-battle challenge for each
Wait,
of
you don't
them,
get
not
rings
only
during
do you
any of
not
them.
have checkpoints during the trial, meaning that if you fail and run out of rings as
You
Supersonic,
go
or
right
as
back to
Supersonic during the
Giganto.
pre-battle challenge, you have to start the trial all over again, but you also have to do all of that on one set of rings. That's right. However many rings you have left over
you
at the
can
end
just
of one
spam
fight,
the,
carry over
parry,
into the next
though.
one, and you
Makes it a
can't
little
silently
easier.
get more. There is no way to replenish your ring count in this trial. And
Nope.
while you can't get hurt as Supersonic, if you get hit by one of the Titans, you do enter a recovery phase, which just wastes your rings.
Not to
meaning
mention,
you have
during the
less time
climb
defeat
to
all
the
3 of them,
Titans to
likely
get on
meaning
top of
you're
them and
going
get
to
the
have to do
emerald,
trial all
you
over
can
again.
get hit and lose
Unless
60
you can parry their
rings.
attacks, which you most likely aren't ready for, because this is the first time you're learning to use the perfect parry. And okay, well, just get good. Learn how to perfect parry, right? No, see, because when you parry an attack in a video game, when do you expect the parry to activate? when
Yeah,
the
when it
opponent's attack
slows
lands,
down.
right?
Yeah.
Well, see, the problem is that that's
Sometimes
not
there's a
how it works in
slowdown
this
for
game.
it.
Let me use Giganto as an example, right? I can solo this f***er in like 10 seconds because of how many times I had to fight them, but I still could not exactly tell you
Using
when
the
to parry their
stomp.
attacks.
I'll have to try to remember
They have
that.
a spin move where they stick their arms out, but if you parry when their arms reach Sonic, you're doing it too early. Instead, you have to wait about a second for their VFX trail to appear, and then the hitbox becomes active. Like, what?
What?
And then
Yeah,
when you silence
that
them into
friggin'
the air during their second
this
phase,
breaks
they
all
have
the
a
rules of how
retaliation
parry
attack,
works and
you
pisses
think,
me
oh,
off.
the arm's about to hit me, I should parry. But then they do a complete spin, only hitting you on the second go-around, and it happens so quickly that I'm still not sure what the timing is for it. Sometimes I'd get it, sometimes I wouldn't, and it's because these fights weren't designed with the perfect parry in mind. In the original fights, you could hold the parry, meaning you didn't have to time it. While the opponents do telegraph their attacks, it's hard to know exactly when
Especially
to parry, not only
Giganto.
because the perfect parry is so short, but because the parry window doesn't match the opponent's animation, and there's nothing to indicate
I thought you were
when
gonna
that
dodge
parry
it.
window is. But I'll talk more about that when we get to the next
Wyvern's
I got shot
missiles
into the
aren't
air,
the hard
and
part.
The camera glitched out, and this happened.
I am judging you. Silently.
Yes, can I help you? What the f do you want from me? Why does the Master King Koco say I'm doing excellent for defeating regular enemies, but didn't say a damn thing when I beat a Titan?
I don't
The
know.
Wyvern can kiss my thick Mexican ass. While not perfect parrying Gigantos and the Knight's attacks does waste your ring count, you can still beat them without having to parry a single time. The Wyvern demands that you master perfect parrying, or you
Which is
will
sad,
not
because
even
Wyvern
be
has
able
my
to
favorite
hurt it.
boss
For
theme.
starters, you have to parry the missiles it shoots out at you, and here's
Like, they're all
something else that pisses
bangers,
me
but
off.
you know.
For some reason, the parry window for projectiles is exactly where you think it should be. When it makes contact.
Yeah.
Why are the rules for perfect parrying so inconsistent? Okay, f it, whatever. So you do that, right? Not only can you get hit with a missile that's off screen, meaning there's no conceivable way you'd be able to time it outside of maybe an
You
audio
might
prompt,
hit
but
it.
you can still get hit by one of the
It
other
does
missiles
increase
after
your
trying
chances,
to catch up with the
IMO.
Wyvern, who's about to start its attack animation. And oh boy, do I have some shit to say about that one. So
Oh, boy.
even though you're literally redirecting rockets back at
It
the
doesn't do any
missiles don't
damage.
do any damage to the Wyvern at all. You can't start properly attacking the Wyvern until after you've parried its attack
Yep.
phase, of which it has, as far
And
as
then
I can
if
tell,
you
5
and
of
it,
them.
yeah,
The
it
first
chain
one, after
lock
it's been
him up
hit
in
with
a
missile while
chain
having
for the
over half
first
its health,
phase.
seems like
Then
it's
you
going
can
to hit
just
you with
beat
its
the
tail,
crap
but
out of him and
nope,
he'll just
it's about
stand
to
there.
swipe at you, and its wind-up to doing so is so weirdly timed. It wasn't until I fought this thing a bajillion times that someone pointed out to me that there's actually an audio cue for when the attack is about to
What?
hit, and I never noticed because during normal play, there's no need for an audio cue because you don't have to time your parry. Okay,
What's the
so
cue?
you successfully parried its first attack phase. Well, unless you want to do it again 3 or 4 times, you need to make sure you have enough Psyloop meter to perform a quick Psyloop, otherwise you'll be doing such piss-poor damage that it'll just waste more of your time on top of however many missiles you've gotten hit by, or how many attack phases you haven't successfully parried. Okay, so phase 2 starts after you've depleted half its health,
Yep.
and now, not only will it shoot out more rockets, but it also emits these laser rings, which don't do anything other than
It's
clutter the
noise.
screen with more
It's
visual
white noise on the
making it harder
screen.
to know which one of the now dozens of rockets you have to parry.
And then, which will
Okay,
cause a
you successfully
cutscene where
parry
you're
missile
flying
number
through
2
it with
enter the
Wyvern
Wyvern's
and
second
waste
phase,
more
where it once again
rings.
seems like it's going to hit you with its tail, but again swipes at you, except this time there's no wind-up, it just does it all in one quick swoop. And you want to know the best part? There's no audio cue this
What?
time. But hey, you want to know the even better part? Once you successfully parry the first attack, you have to immediately get
do it
ready to
again.
perfect parry its second attack of this phase, where it swipes in the opposite direction, this time a little slower, throwing your timing off. And in case you were wondering, yeah, that attack doesn't have an audio cue either. Of
course it doesn't.
I'm pretty sure that the only attack that the Wyvern even has an audio cue for is its first attack phase. His second one, though, was giving me such a damn hard time because I could not for the life of me figure out what the timing was because it just did not make sense. And then some saint in my chat suggested that I should parry when it begins to swing its arm, not when its claw hits me. And wouldn't you fucking know it? What in the mother sense does it make to parry an attack so goddamn early and when what's going to hit me is nowhere near me?
I'll have to keep
and this
that
is
in
another thing
mind.
that I'm talking about when it comes to the opponent's animation not matching my parry window at all. What about this animation communicates to the player that they're supposed to parry the attack when the claw is 10 Sonics away?
10 Sonics
When I did
away.
the attempts of this fight live, I had mentioned that at least for fights where you have to perfect parry, it would be nice if there was a glow or some other kind of visual indicator that tells me roughly when I should time the parry.
Yeah.
And someone
This
else pointed out
TLC
that
needs a
technically
patch.
There was Sonic's Spidey sense. You see,
His
during
Spidey
combat,
sense.
you might have noticed that Sonic sometimes
Yep.
gets a little line around his head, which seems to tether to an enemy. I always thought that
a
little line
counterattack.
told me which enemy I was focused on in case I wanted to attack, but it turns out that it's meant to activate when you're about to get hit. And
Oh.
a couple of things about that. For starters, I can't even see that shit in this fight, especially not during Phase 2 when there's so many things
There's
happening
so
on
much
screen.
white
And second,
noise
while,
on
yes,
screen.
the little ribbon does alert you to an oncoming attack, it's still not a good indicator of when you're supposed to parry or even when the attack is going to land. Its only purpose is to alert the player that they're about to get hit in general. But okay, let's say that by some miracle you manage to perfect parry both attacks in its second attack phase. Now you're allowed to start dealing damage again, except now the rules are different. Do not Psyloop the Wyvern on Phase 2.
Why not?
If you do, it will break free and retaliate with its third attack
No!
phase, where it does a tail whip that you have to, you guessed it, parry in order to avoid getting hit and having to use its second attack phase all over again. The problem is, you do so much damage when a Titan is Psylooped, I wouldn't blame anyone who tried to do that because it worked the first time.
Right?
But okay, you don't Psyloop it and you just start wailing on it, slowly chipping away its health.
Slowly but surely.
Eventually, regardless of the damage you've inflicted, it's going to retaliate anyway with a fourth attack phase, which is really similar to its third attack phase with the tail whip, except this time it attacks you with a separate part of the tail, making the timing impossible to know. But let's say that by some miracle of God, you managed to perfect parry that attack as well. Now you're given the option to perform a Grand Slam. The thing that I mentioned earlier dealt tremendous damage to enemies.
Yep.
Yeah, don't.
Why not?
Because if you do, you trigger a cutscene where all Sonic does is throw the Wyvern into a wall, does a little bit of damage, nothing
Oh,
all that
come
significant,
on.
and then Phase 2 restarts. Instead, just wail on it some more. And if you've done enough, the QTE cutscene plays where you can attack it again, but once you do, it will shoot its hyper beam at you, and I have no fucking idea how it was that I managed to perfect parry it on hard mode.
Neither
when
do
every
I.
animation is 15 frames long, or a fifth of a second, because there's zero indication of when the laser beam will hit you. That's
Just
how fast it comes
mash.
out.
That's
And
what
you
I
might be
do,
wondering,
mash.
well, why are you doing this on hard mode? The parry is much more comfortable to perform on easy, and the actual answer is out of a sense
of
I
pride,
knew
yeah,
I could
that's
do it,
why
and
I
I
do
wanted
it.
to prove I could, but my more facetious answer is because in the base game, you don't fight the true final boss unless you're playing on hard or extreme mode. So why would the player not assume something similar
That
is
too,
going to
yeah,
happen in
because
the
I didn't get to
second
fight
phase?
the
And again,
end
because
unless
of
I was
how
in hard
fast
mode.
the
I said
laser
that in the
is,
original
you'll probably
Frontiers
have to
base
deal with its second
playthrough.
attack phase again.
I ain't
just to
falling for that
finish it
again.
off. All of this is made so much worse by the fact that so many of the things in this fight are designed to waste your time and deplete your rings, but you could get rings back in the original fight.
Yeah.
And if you lose all your rings, again, you have to climb Giganto, fight Giganto, climb the tower on Ares Island, and do the ribbon running section every single time all over again. It's so frustrating that you have to be so patient to reattempt a fight that requires patience, but also somehow supersonic reflexes. And even when you do beat the Wyvern part of this trial,
You still have
to make sure you have
Knight.
enough rings left over to beat the Knight, which is why I got so stupid good at fighting Giganto, because I knew the Wyvern would take a metric load of my rings, which I need to even have a shot at completing this trial. So, in the base game, after defeating Supreme, the End escapes from within it and reforms in space where it was originally sealed, giving
Okay.
Sage enough time to say goodbye to Eggman, commandeer the Titan, and going to face it with Super
This is the
Sonic.
new stuff for me, like
Now,
the fully
for
new
some
stuff.
reason, the End rematerializes almost instantly on the planet. What was different about what we did that caused that?
Different
Also, I don't really
timeline.
get why the End is doing this to begin with. It can shoot lasers and create light and dark balls of energy to destroy worlds. Why is it bothering to take control of Supreme? Like, trust me, I remember what I said about the End fight in the base game, and I still stand by it. I still think it's a glorified Toho simulator cosplaying as a final boss, but it kind of made sense why we were fighting that incarnation of it. Couldn't we fight that thing and then this
And then
thing?
it's supersonic,
The original The End
but as
was an awful
supersonic?
final boss with a bomb-ass monologue, but it could be a bomb-ass penultimate boss if it was followed up by this as a desperation attempt. That being said, the Supreme End, as I like to call this boss,
Oh, that's a
while
cool
a
name.
much better final boss, and I do mean a much better final boss, I still have a bunch of issues with it. If I hadn't been live streaming this when I did it for the first time, I have no idea if I would have figured out what to do on my own. You can only do so much damage to the Titan before the end heals itself, and what the game doesn't really tell you is that the Titan isn't really your target. What you're supposed to attack is the End's cord that's connected to Supreme,
Oh, hit the
which
purple
is
thing.
easy enough to deduce, but it's not really obvious that the only way to target the cord is by attacking Supreme's head first and performing a dodge. But why is that what I have to do when the entire cord is visibly accessible from wherever?
Ooh.
Another thing that bugs me about this fight is the instances where I have to perfect parry the Supreme End's energy balls. Surprisingly enough, not because the timing doesn't make sense. Like I said, projectiles do get parried upon impact.
Yeah.
I just wasn't great at timing it. But no, the problem is when the camera
that's
zooms out
cool.
and Supersonic gets obscured by the forest. I can't parry what I can't see.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys can fly in your cyber forms?
What?
Since when?
Well,
And
Tails could
why couldn't
always
I do that
fly,
in the
and
game?
Knuckles
Well,
could, but
except
Amy?
Tails in the Cyclone, obviously.
Well, okay, Knuckles
To
glides,
continue
but
my
same
complaints
thing,
about
you
the
know.
Supreme End, its next phase starts off with something that looks like a scripted cinematic, but no, I'm actually in control right now and don't
Yeah, I'm
realize
losing
it because
rings.
I've never had a camera angle like this that wasn't a scripted event. And what I'm supposed to do is once again attack its head so I can then dodge onto its back and parry its arms. What about Supreme's movements right now would possibly make me think that's what I have to do? And going back to those energy balls real quick, you might notice that every time I get hit by one, my max ring count gets lowered by 10.
What?
And during this phase of the Supreme End, a cutscene plays, which is supposed to happen. That's completely normal. But if you have less than 100 rings when it starts, you lose instantly.
What?
And I was incredibly confused because that was the first time I'd reached that cutscene and had zero idea what I'd done wrong. Not to mention, you are supposed to lose rings during that cutscene, but when you're playing this for the first time, how are you supposed to know that? And how are you supposed to know that you need at least 100 rings to survive?
I don't know.
Sonic, it's now or never!
As phenomenal
My
as
eyes
this
are
cutscene
blue
is, sorry, I
now.
love it so much. Why was Sonic's first instinct to go inside the gun? Couldn't Eggman just shoot a laser out of it, or can only Supreme do that? Is it really necessary to shoot Sonic out of the gun? Is it because of how fast he is, making sure he pierced both through Supreme and the End? And why does Sonic need to embrace his cyber corruption for this? As awesome as I think Supersonic Cyber looks, I just don't really understand what the point of him doing this is. Okay, have I just been playing too much of it, or does Supersonic Cyber look like he's trying to do a Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare?
Look! There he is!
Somebody catch me! Someone stupid, get in my way!
God damn. We interrupt the final horizon to bring you the intro to Sonic Unleashed.
Yeah, I'm okay with that
How many times
callback.
can a hedgehog bust his ass falling from
Oh,
space
his head,
before he starts
actually.
to really feel it? Oh, yeah, I guess I should mention the reward you get for 100% completing this game.
Is a crown.
You get a crown.
Oh, so they pulled a freaking
It's
Kingdom
like
Hearts
Kingdom
2.
Hearts. Cool.
That's neat, I guess. Okay.
That worked.
No!
Hey everyone, Chara.
I still need to beat the Frontiers Titan thing. Hopefully those suggestions, dude. I'm not doing it on easy mode. Then that means the game wins. I might reduce it to normal though. But oh god. I like the DLC. I am genuinely happy with it overall. But dang, does it have problems? And yeah, I when I read this all, I thought it was gonna be like, I think 47 minutes is a bit much, don't you think? But no, it's not that it has a lot of sins, and it does, but it doesn't get to the triple digits. But it's more just the expanding on dialogue for like he's explaining the sin in greater detail, like the entirety of Wyvern's section in that was just like probably like 5 sins, but it was a 5-paragraph essay on each sin, which is fine. You gotta explain his point, all that stuff, and why it's a sin. It's not just gonna. Sorry, 5 does not do. Sin does not contain a metal lap dance, but still. Ugh. Yeah, I'm over. The point is, yeah, it's a mixed bag, and it's it's the Dark Souls of Sonic the Hedgehog, as my friend Ace of Games pointed out. It is. But hey, I guess I'm glad we have it at all. I'm just glad Frontiers got some more love, you know. Looking forward to the next scene that comes out on that jazz, but I still need to finish this. I have to. I'm not gonna complete all the frickin' things. I'm not gonna get 100%. Screw that. But I'll just do what I can. I don't know. I doubt I'll get the crown because I don't care about Frontiers that much. It's a good game. It's a great game. It's not the best Sonic game. Best Sonic game in a while, sure, but I'd rather play Generations or something. But whatever. Hey, you know, again, not saying Frontiers is a bad game, just not my favorite game. Anyway, the music kicks ass though, but that's always the case with Sonic. But anyway, yeah, good work to Atari 5, good thing to check out. And now I'm all caught up with the Sonic Eels until he releases another one. So yeah, which Will Ferrell will probably let me know of because he's good about that. So yeah, we don't have anything else really to say. I guess I gotta learn my perfect parries. So until next time, later.